All right, buckle up, because today we're diving straight into the cutting edge of AI, right into the heart of one of, humanity's oldest pursuits, scientific discovery. We're asking the big question today: can AI actually be better at research than us humans?
Better. That's a loaded word.
Well, yeah, I mean, you might be thinking, hold on, isn't coming up with brilliant ideas kind of our thing?
Definitely. It's a question that a lot of us are asking, especially with all the buzz around AI these days.
Exactly. And a new study out of ArcSIF really digs into this. These researchers, they didn't just speculate, they actually ran an experiment. They wanted to see if an AI could actually generate more novel research ideas, those groundbreaking, never been done before ideas, the real life human scientists.
Wow. Okay, so a real head-to-head matchup. That's interesting.
Right. So what do you think, could AI be the next, like, Einstein?
Well, I'm not sure about Einstein, but what's so cool about this study is it goes way beyond just, hypotheticals. It's a real-world experiment with some pretty wild results, actually.
Okay, so walk us through it. How do you even begin to compare an AI's ideas to a human's? I mean, where do you even start?
So they decided to focus on a specific field called natural language processing, NLP for short. It's a huge area of AI research right now. Lots of interesting stuff happening.
Makes sense to pick a field where AI is already making waves.
Exactly. And get this, they had this AI agent, and on the other side, a bunch of highly qualified, human NLP researchers.
Okay, I'll admit it, the idea of an AI versus humans research showdown is giving me some serious sci-fi vibes. But how do you make sure it's a fair fight,
Yeah.
level playing field and all that?
Yeah, they were very careful about that. Both the AI and the human researchers got the same exact research topics, like literally the same list of things to think about. And not just that, they were given the same template for actually presenting their ideas. They even had to use the same writing style.
Wow, talk about rigorous. So, like, no pressure,
Yeah.
right? Just come up with the most groundbreaking research idea you can. No biggie.
Right, it was like a blind taste test, but for scientific ideas. Which I gotta say is a pretty clever way to do it.
So they couldn't tell which ideas were from the AI and which
Yep.
were from humans. That's smart.
Yeah, and they were judging them purely on stuff like novelty, how exciting the idea was, whether it was even doable, feasibility, and how effective the idea might actually be. Totally objective criteria, which is really important, Reese.
Absolutely. All right, I have to know. Drum roll, please.
Yeah.
What happened? Did the AI actually hold its own against the human researchers?
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. When they looked at the scores for novelty, remember, that's how original and groundbreaking the ideas were, the AI came out on top. Consistently.
Whoa, are you serious? The AI actually generated ideas that were judged to be more novel than those from human experts. Hold on, I need a minute to process this.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing. And it wasn't like a small difference either. They ran some statistical tests. You can think of it like a super-powered fact-checker for research, and these tests showed that the AI had a real significant advantage. This wasn't just a fluke. It was a seriously robust finding.
Okay, I think my mind just officially went, boom. Okay, so my mind is officially blown. We've got this AI generating some seriously novel research ideas, ideas that impressed, like, even the expert reviewers. But let's be real, no system is perfect, right? There had to be a few hiccups along the way with the AI, I'd imagine.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the AI was like this, novelty machine, but it definitely stumbled a bit when it came to feasibility.
Feasibility, you mean like, could these ideas actually work in the real world, like practicality?
Exactly. Like, there was this one case, right, where the AI proposed this whole research project, great concept and all, but it would require an insane amount of computing power, just way too much, for something called fine-tuning. Brilliant on paper, but in practice, not so much. Yeah.
It's like that friend who's always coming up with these epic plans, right, like a cross-country road trip, but then totally forgets to factor in things like, actually having a car that runs.
Yes. Perfect analogy. That's exactly it. This AI, at this point, it's amazing for brainstorming, for pushing boundaries, getting those creative juices flowing. But that human judgment, being able to step back and say, okay, but is this actually doable? That's still crucial. We're not there yet with AI.
It's a good reminder that AI is more like a partner in research, not a replacement for us humans. Which makes me wonder, what did this study show us about how we approach research, us humans?
Right, and this is where it gets even more interesting, I think. So, the human researchers, their ideas, not as novel as the AI's, according to the experts, but they consistently got higher marks for feasibility, go figure.
So we played it a bit safer, sticking to ideas that, wouldn't turn the lab upside down.
Basically, yeah. Seems like we humans, even seasoned researchers, we sometimes prioritize what we know we can accomplish, rather than venturing out into the totally unknown. And get this, some researchers in the study actually admitted they valued feasibility and effectiveness over pure novelty when they were coming up with their ideas.
I mean, I get it. It's like choosing between some wild, never-been-tried-before recipe that could be amazing or, sticking with your tried-and-true family favorite for dinner.
Right. Why mess with a good thing? But it does make you think a little sprinkle of that AI-style out-of-the-box thinking. Could that help us break out of our comfort zones in research? Imagine the possibilities.
Speaking of possibilities, this all leads to some pretty big questions for the future of research. Like,
Yeah.
how do we find that sweet spot? The one where we're embracing the awesome power of AI, but, without throwing caution totally to the wind.
That's a real balancing act, isn't it? How do we make sure that this pursuit of novelty, whether it's coming from an AI or a human brain, doesn't lead us down some, ethically questionable path? That's a
Yeah,
conversation we have to have.
for sure. AI is a tool, and like any tool, it's all about using it responsibly. So, what other big questions should we be thinking about as AI becomes more involved in research? What are the biggies?
Hmm.
This whole conversation, it's got those sci-fi alarm bells ringing in my head a little.
Mhm.
Not gonna lie. Like, I keep picturing those movies where the AI decides to, you know, take over. But in this case, it's not about taking over the world, it's taking over the lab. I mean, if AI can come up with groundbreaking research ideas now,
Yeah.
what happens when it's calling the shots, designing the experiments, analyzing the data, the whole nine yards?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? It's what some are calling autonomous science, where the AI isn't just lending a hand, it's practically running the show.
Okay, yeah, that is a little unsettling. If AI is dreaming and doing when it comes to science, where does that leave us humans? Like, what's our role in all of this?
I'll be honest, it's a question that has a lot of folks scratching their heads, and not just the computer science folks. We're talking philosophers, ethicists, even the scientists building these AIs. It's a big one.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
So, where do you land on all of this? Are we headed for a future where robots are taking over our labs?
Honestly, I'm optimistic. And here's why. I truly believe that human ingenuity, that spark of curiosity, the ability to think critically and ask the big why questions, that's not something AI can replicate, at least not anytime soon. AI might be able to crunch numbers like nobody's business, run simulations, find patterns in mountains of data, but it's still us humans driven by that deeper desire to understand?
So it's less about AI replacing scientists and more about AI giving us a boost. Like, imagine it as this superpowered research assistant, helping us see things we might have missed, tackle problems from a totally different angle, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Think about it. You've got these massive data sets, right? Huge amounts of information. AI could analyze that data and find those hidden patterns, those connections that would take humans years, maybe even decades to uncover on their own. Or imagine this, an AI running thousands, millions of simulations, testing out hypotheses in the blink of an eye before a human researcher even sets foot in a lab. That's speeding up discovery, saving resources. The possibilities are pretty amazing, if you ask me.
This whole deep dive has been a real eye-opener, I gotta say. AI's got this incredible potential to, like, totally revolutionize the way we do science. But, like with any powerful tool, we've got to make sure we're using it wisely, ethically.
Right, 100%. And that's a conversation that everyone needs to be a part of, from the researchers developing these technologies to the policymakers setting the rules, and everyone in between. Because the future of AI in science, that's not something that just happens to us. It's something we're all shaping together, whether we realize it or not.
That's a powerful thought to end on. It's exciting, sure, but also a little daunting, right?
Right.
To be standing on the edge of such a massive shift in how we understand the world.
Absolutely. But you know what? That mix of excitement and, yeah, maybe a little healthy dose of questioning, that's what drives progress.
Mhm.
If we weren't a little bit daunted, we probably wouldn't be pushing ourselves as much?
So well said. And for our listeners, I hope this deep dive has those wheels turning, keep those minds curious, ask the tough questions. Who knows what amazing discoveries are waiting just around the corner, right? Until next time, keep exploring.